Hello and welcome to This Month in Hamilton, our July 2023 edition. I want to start out by thanking WBCB 1490 AM for allowing us each and every month to bring you what's going on this month in Hamilton, as well as our sponsors. Angela Wanafree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Homes. Joining us later today, we have our fire chief, Chief Chris Tozzi. We're excited to tell you about what's going on in our fire service as he wraps up his first year as our chief. There's been a lot going on, even just in the last few months with some big incidents. So I want to tell you about some of the things that the chief has going on. He's taken us in a great direction, and so I want you to hear directly from him as he finishes up his first year as our fire chief here in Hamilton. In terms of what's going on, though, as we look into August of 2023, hope to see everybody out August 1st at Veterans Park Southside from 5 to 8 p.m. as we again host National Night Out. I know many of you recall that National Night Out used to be held at the police headquarters on Whitehorse Avenue, but a couple of years ago we moved it over to the Veterans Park South just to keep everybody safe for parking and walking, so that people aren't trying to cross a 4-lane road with their little ones to enjoy a night out. But got a lot of great stuff planned for you. Obviously, our fire department will be out there as well, headlined by the chief. I think he and I are even going to be in the dunk tank. I know I'll be in the dunk tank. He'll be in the dunk tank. So, weather looks nice and warm for both of us. And so nice, refreshing opportunity for you to dunk either one of us that night. And again, any money raised from the dunk tank goes to a charity. This year it's going to Miracle League of Mercer County, which is a great organization. We'll have our police department out there. We'll have Public Works out there for their Touch a Truck event. Just a lot of great organizations. I know CrossFit's coming out to work with your kids and get some exercise in. Got a helicopter coming in from the National Guard. So just a fantastic opportunity for you and your family to get a night out, to interact with a lot of our township personnel, especially our first responders. Look and see what they do each and every day to keep all of us safe. So hope you can make it out again next week, August 1st. 5 to 8 p.m. at Veterans Park South. So again, really excited for that. Then at the end of the month, so that's August 1st, and then August 31st, we're hosting, along with Angela Wanafree and the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, International Opioid Awareness Day event. This is an event that travels around the county, 2 different townships. We hosted it back in 2017, and we're hosting it again this year. Always happy to partner with the county prosecutor and host this great event. And give an outlet to people who are remembering a loved one who unfortunately succumbed to an overdose, or looking for assistance or help if they know of a loved one or a friend or family member experiencing addiction issues, maybe themselves experiencing addiction issues. For all of us, maybe to get just better informed about how to help those experiencing an addiction issue. So again, August 31st, that'll be at Vets Park North. So you'll start seeing, again, more information to come on that. And then shortly thereafter, obviously our annual September 11th Remembrance Ceremony, again, Vets Park North. Usually we do that around 10 a.m., but we'll announce the time as it gets closer. But again, a really solemn day. Last year we had great attendance to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice trying to rescue people in the World Trade Center or down in D.C., trying to remember all those who lost their lives due to the terrorist attack, and then even subsequent to that, defending our way of life here in America. So a lot of important and good events, some more fun, some more serious, but a lot of good things going on in Vets Park. And so you'll see just in the days and weeks to come, some work going on in Vets Park from our parks crew as well. I was just informed today, later this week, we've got a clean the Air Force jet that's there on the Vets Park North side as well through a power washing. And so we've got to do some rearranging there of traffic and all that kind of stuff to make sure it's safe for our public works team to get up. So you may see that too, but they're always out there maintaining our parks. And we're just so lucky to have such dedicated township employees. Also, you'll see many of our township employees out paving roads. So we've gotten a lot of roads paved this year. This week, they're starting on the remainder of South Clinton. So if you remember last year, we did about half of South Clinton from Cedar Lane to the bridge that goes over 295, and now we're doing the bridge to Whitehorse Avenue, a really bumpy road. It goes along again with that the repaving that we did also last year of South Broad Street on the quote-unquote southbound lanes. So a lot of just infrastructure improvement, road projects going on. So you'll see that. So if you're in the South Clinton area, suggest especially for the next 2 weeks or so, you use South Broad Street more to get around, as there'll be some detours and some road shutdowns and all that kind of stuff on South Clinton. But again, repairing those roads, you'll see a lot going on. And then kind of adjacent to the South Clinton repairs, we've got road repairs going on East Park, right in front of Hamilton West and Wilson Elementary School. Nice part about the East Park road project is that was acquired through a grant through the state. So it's about a $500,000 grant that we got from the state to pay for that project. You'll see some new ADA ramps, some new storm drains, some new curbs as well. So really, that will complete that stretch of road. Again, last year we did about half the road from Arena Drive down to about Borden Ave, and this year we'll do Borden Ave, I think essentially to either South Clinton or South Broad. So really getting then that whole stretch of road done. And also, again, some pedestrian striping as kids try to make it safer for kids to cross over to Wilson Elementary or get across from the new turf field at Hamilton West back to school. So a lot of great things going on there as well. Speaking of the turf fields, I hope many of you have had the opportunity to see the new turf field that the school board approved and had constructed over at Hamilton West. I believe the one at Nottingham is just about done, and then the one at Steinert, I think they still have the goal to have done by the end of this summer. So a great thing for our student athletes here in Hamilton. I know we were the last, from what I heard, the last high schools in the county to have turf fields, so no longer having that distinction, but really just opening up, again, field usage for outdoor recreation opportunities for our youth here in Hamilton. So it's been a long time coming. It's a conversation I had many years ago, even with our superintendent and members of our school board. And so can't thank the school board enough for their commitment in getting those done, committing the funds to them to, again, improve our school system and really those outdoor recreational opportunities, which are so important to our social and emotional learning for our kids, especially still coming out of COVID when they were stuck behind computer screens for a long time. So good things coming there as well. We'll also talk to the chief about a grant our fire department just got, even more so important as we come out of one of the largest fires, if not the largest fire in Hamilton's history. So I want to talk to the chief about that too. But it just goes along with what we've been talking about now for a while, and how we've tried to continue to manage budgets, manage your taxes by really seeking out outside grants to help supplement what would have been taxpayer monies to get some of these things done. Speaking of taxes, many of you have started to receive or will soon be receiving what's called an estimated bill for your third quarter tax payment. The reason we're having to do this estimated bill and not your normal full tax bill that you would see, which would cover the last 2 quarters of this year and the first 2 quarters of next year, is Mercer County has not yet passed their budget. And so the township actually collects money, and then we distribute it out to the school board and to the county as well. So without the county having adopted their budget, we don't know what their tax rate is going to be here in Hamilton. So we have to estimate it, which is why we send out an estimated bill. Again, the municipal portion did not go up. The school board went up. I think it was less than $1 for your average homeowner here in Hamilton. So essentially nothing, right? But we don't know where the county is going to be at, so we have to estimate that. With that, we know the bills got sent out very late, and usually it's an August 1st deadline for paying your quarterly taxes. That deadline's been extended to August 25th, that you can pay your taxes without getting any interest. As we know, many of you are just getting those mailings now. So if you've gotten it, great. That's just a quick explanation of what's going on. If you haven't gotten it yet, you will be very soon. If you have questions, call our Hampstead Center, call our tax collection office. They'll be able to, again, just like I tried to do very briefly, right, walk you through why the bill looks different this year, why it's different, how we came up with an estimated rate moving forward as well. So I know that's a lot of information, and it's something different than you've seen year after year. So wanted to take some time to explain it here and just go over it with you. So now we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Chief Tozzi, again, to talk a little bit about him and his many years of service to our fire departments, both when it was a district and now as a department or division here in Hamilton, and about some of the great work he and his men and women that he leads are doing each and every day to keep all of us safe. So we'll be back in just a moment with Chief Tozzi.
Capital Health's primary care network continues to grow, bringing its extensive option of locations to your neighborhood. Whether you're scheduling a wellness checkup or not feeling well, advanced medicine starts with a Capital Health primary care doctor at locations near you in Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. To find a Capital Health primary care location that's convenient for you, visit capitalmedicalgroup.org. That's capitalmedicalgroup.org.
Hi, this is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I'm proud to help sponsor today's show and promote what's happening in our community. All residents of your hometown should stay involved and participate in community activities, whether it's volunteering to help make your town clean, or volunteering at the animal shelter, or helping at a local youth event. Staying involved in your community makes your hometown a great place to live. This is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Radiology Affiliates Imaging has been part of the Hamilton community for over 50 years, with 2 convenient locations, RAI Chi Hamilton and RAI Lawrenceville. We offer expertise in all areas of imaging for all members of your family. Our board-certified specialty radiologists offer expertise in women's imaging, interventional radiology, musculoskeletal and diagnostic radiology. Whether you need an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or X-ray, we offer the latest in imaging technology and interpretation. In the last 50 years, RAI has earned our place amongst the largest and most respected radiology groups in our area. For more information on all RAI has to offer, visit www.4rai.com.
Well, welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. Want to again start out by thanking our sponsors, Angelo Honorfree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Homes. So, Chief, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Living the dream, sir. Living the dream.
Yes.
So, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on this morning. So, I know it's been about a year since you were officially sworn in as the second chief of our Hamilton Township Fire Division. I know it's been any year in a position like that's a long year. So, I want to just start out by thanking you for your service in that position. I know we me talk a lot. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
The men and women you lead are doing a fantastic job. They make it hard and easy on you probably all at the same time.
Absolutely.
But a little bit about yourself. So how'd you wind up getting involved in the fire service here in Hamilton?
My brother was a Merciful Fire Company volunteer. I turned 18 years old, and he said, why don't you come join? He's since retired from District 7 prior to the consolidation. And that was 1992, and about 2001, they decided to hire a couple more firefighters. So me and 3 of my other friends got hired. It was a great day, all of which are still working with us today.
Oh, wow.
It just was work for a bunch of commissioners over the years and a lot of good ones. And here we are, the consolidation that we waited. I think when I walked in the door in 1992, they were talking about consolidation, and it was always a topic. And very proud of the work that the union did with yourself to finally make that happen. It was not an easy thing, and it seems to be very successful. So we're doing really well.
Yeah, and I know we'll go through some of the things you've got going on through consolidation, right? A new rescue truck that we highlighted and got to have a tour with a reporter on, right, and speak about all the great things they're doing. We've got the Whitehead fire, right, and just the coordination needed between what would have been 8-9 districts, right?
Yes.
But also the coordination with the town, right?
Yes.
And having Public Works involved and OEM involved and all that kind of stuff as well. But I know for those who don't know, you served also Marine vet as well.
Yes, sir.
And so a life of public service, basically.
Yeah, it's been an honor. I think it was 99. I had decided that I always wanted to go into the Marine Corps, so the wife said it was okay, which is the first question you ask. So I went off to Paris Island, and unfortunately 9/11 happened, so the world kind of changed real quick on that. But I didn't get deployed for some reason. The unit didn't get deployed for 6 years, but I had a great time, met some really lifelong friends, as you know, in the military.
Yep.
And really reaped the benefits of a regimented Marine Corps and the leadership values and what they bestowed upon me. So I try to use them every day. So I'm definitely a big proponent of, as you served in the Air Force, I'm a big proponent of service to your country, and definitely recommend it for anybody.
Yeah, and it also for these leadership positions, right? The fire department's a paramilitary organization in that you've got rank structure and organizational charts and all that kind of stuff, right, towards a greater public good, right? And that's got to go a long way to being able to manage now 130 plus men and women in uniform.
Yeah, yes, and I think what's really interesting is that I have both. I have prior service, a lot of prior service in the department, and I have people that didn't serve. And when we get to those leaderships, they work off each other. The paramilitary has their way of doing things, and then you have very intelligent people that didn't serve but brought their leadership through other means to the department. So it helps us be very diverse in the way we implement the service. So.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, right, you were a chief in District 2.
Yes.
Pre-consolidation as well. So how long were you chief for, and what was the operation like in District 2 that way? So
the Merciful Fire Company, which was Hamilton, when I did get hired, was Hamilton Township Fire District 2. Each fire company was associated with a taxing district. Was the training captain for a few years, and then had the opportunity to become chief of the department, which was a great honor, or the district. And I worked for some tremendous fire commissioners over the years that were very supportive. I think what gets lost in a translation of consolidation is a lot of those fire commissioners did amazing job. They hit a wall of not being able to reach across those district lines. So that's why consolidation was such a natural evolution, and it was really good for the fire service. But I think sometimes we have to take a second and just thank those men and women that served as fire commissioners. And personally, I worked for some tremendous ones over the years that did a great job. So,
and many of them dedicated, most of them dedicated, right, to seeing a successful fire district, to seeing the men and women they hired be successful.
Yes.
Collaborating with other districts, collaborating with volunteer companies, and all that as well. And I think you said you started out as a volunteer.
Yeah, I did from '92 to 2001. I was a volunteer. So They got me for free for a few years, and probably had no idea what I was doing. We wung it, and it's been fun, just from the 90s to current day, the progression and the professionalism of, what I would say is one of the finest departments in the Northeast, and it really is, and that's a tribute to the 136 firefighters that we've put on staff here, that each and every one of them I know individually are just tremendous people, and they start with the right idea of civic duty and responsibility, and they've just taken it to they amaze me every day. We talk about the rescue truck. We put the rescue truck in service.
So what is a rescue truck?
There's fire engines and fire trucks, and we always like to educate people that a fire engine has a pump on it, and a fire truck is your ladder truck. And we are really good at those. Those two assignments, they have separate functions on a fire scene, and then adding the rescue truck, which has its specific function on the fire scene, but also closes a gap with our technical rescues, which we've had our fair share in Hamilton Township, our trench rescue. We also do confined space and high angle. And what that was prior to me taking over was from the district model, was it was shared across four different units, and it just made more sense to me to consolidate that into one specialty piece where those 16 firefighters are dedicated on a regular basis for training and education and keeping that. And that's being headed up by Keith Green, Battalion Chief Keith Green. Can't say enough about that guy. He's tremendous, another tremendous employee we have, and that's really, it's in the incipient stage, but it's moving forward, and I'm very proud of that. What we've done there. Basically
just 6 months old, a little more than 6 months old, right? It's still in that infant stage, so to speak.
Yes.
You think. Not to compare, fire and police can't really be compared, right? But the police department in a few years is getting ready to celebrate their 100th anniversary of being a police department in Hamilton, right? And you think the fire department's 2.5 years old, right? Like
the toddler in the room.
Yeah, right? It's on either end of that spectrum, right? And I think to our residents and businesses, through consolidation due to you and your predecessor and the men and women you lead, right? There hasn't been a skipped beat yet, but when you look at it on that comparison, right? Like where can this go in 100 years is amazing to think. I won't be here either, right?
We worked closely with the police department from the fire district standpoint all the time, and I'm a huge fan. If you haven't heard me just rave about the Hamilton Township Police Division, the men and women of that department, and they've bailed me out on numerous occasions at really touchy fire scenes, but they've also been there emotionally. They're a tremendous department. I'm very proud to, when we reach out and work with our citizens, that team effort, that compassion is just, it's unparalleled. And I would be remiss not to mention too, as we've come into the township, working with the public works, we have a tremendous public works department, and watching them work every day with the same zeal that the firemen and the police put in, firefighters and police, as well as the legal department's been amazing, engineering, finance, just reaching out across these departments and being part of that team has just been so much fun. And I wouldn't want to miss out on my predecessor, Chief Richard Kramer, who was at the helm of this when the consolidation happened, and what a tremendous job he did, and getting and I'm very thankful for the foundation he laid that we're working off of today.
Yeah, and speaking of just that cross-department collaboration, right?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Whitehead Road. I know, as the chief, you're not there necessarily on scene handling it, right? But you've described it to me as the largest fire, at least in recent memory, right? In our township's history, right? I
have a little bit of historical knowledge of the fire service, and I would definitely say that's probably the largest by far that we've had in Hamilton Township. I was abroad at the time in Edinburgh, Scotland. I got off the plane and started seeing the Instagram pictures, and I said, this can't be happening. But as you know, we're very fortunate to have Deputy Chief John Ratalis and Deputy Chief Stephen Kramer, and Battalion Chief Ray Pierce started that job, which is so crucial in our industry, is how you make those initial decisions and how you can react to a fire like that. And from everything I look at, Battalion Chief Pierce just dynamite job, and the firefighters that were doing that, I mean, wow, what they did over the course of days, even after the fire, and that night, the effort they put in for us. Just so proud of the department at that point. I wish I could have been here, but it was really nice to know to have Deputy Chief Ratalis and Battalion Chief Pierce doing just an amazing job. And then we have all the support from our agencies across Mercer County. We have a great relationship with them, and Mercer County has a dynamite fire system in place all the way from Trenton to Hopewell to Ewing. They were all there for us, and we're greatly appreciative. So best outcome we could have had for that fire, unfortunately, but no one got hurt significantly, and
that's the biggest thing, right? Property can be replaced, buildings can be replaced and rebuilt, and all of that, right? But people can't be replaced, right?
Not at all.
Even a torn ACL is difficult to replace, or things like that. So no significant injuries, and obviously no deaths, the most important thing. But you talk about Battalion Chief Pierce, right? I think he was a battalion chief like a month.
Yeah, we trial by fire.
Yeah.
I've known that battalion as a captain and as a young fireman when he came in, and he really is the epitome of what this division has to offer this town. There's 136 just like him.
Yeah,
and I'm really proud of these guys.
But it just shows you, right? Again, going back to districts, right? The training and education and just professionalism that existed, right? That he was brought up in, right?
Yes.
And because only just over 2 years later, then became a battalion chief in this department, and then handled it for a little while by himself, or most of that early morning hours by himself, right? And kudos to him, but kudos to those who've come before him too, to train him up and get him ready for a situation like that.
Yep.
I know it's your and my, when we do these swearing-ins and recommendations and all of that, right? You always think of, are they ready? And I know it gives you and I a nice warm feeling to know he was ready, and just like all the battalion chiefs we swore in that day, right?
Yeah, I've 8 great battalion chiefs. I mean, I'm very fortunate across that leadership level that I have. Great guys.
Real quick, just staying on the Whitehead fire, right? Just for those who don't know, 20 some odd responding units, right? From all over the area down to South Jersey and all of that, right? Hours on scene. But what people, and I didn't think about until I was told, right? As those engines are running, or the fire truck is running, right? To put water on a fire, their engine is literally running.
Yes.
And so they're using diesel fuel or gasoline or whatever the case may be, right?
Yes, sir.
And it goes back to that partnership of having Public Works literally wake up also in the middle of the night to keep bringing diesel fuel to the scene.
Yeah, it's an excellent, the Public Works, the emergency management team got activated, and Kyle Battaglia and Jimmy Raro and Chris Mull and Lieutenant Jeff Martin, the other Jeff Martin. These guys really came together, and that's when they start with do we need fuel, food, Porta Johns is a big thing on something, the logistics side of it. And talking to Deputy Chief Retalis when I returned, they just really knocked it out of the park and made that a much easier, safer environment. So I'm very thankful for that emergency management team.
Absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit more about emergency management later, but we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we'll continue on with Chief Tozzi.
Radiology Affiliates Imaging has been part of the Hamilton community for over 50 years, with 2 convenient locations, RAI Chi Hamilton and RAI Lawrenceville. We offer expertise in all areas of imaging for all members of your family. Our board-certified specialty radiologists offer expertise in women's imaging, interventional radiology, musculoskeletal and diagnostic radiology. Whether you need an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or X-ray, we offer the latest in imaging technology and interpretation. In the last 50 years, RAI has earned our place amongst the largest and most respected radiology groups in our area. For more information on all RAI has to offer, visit www.4rai.com.
Merrill Reese, here to tell you about my good friends at Haldeman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldeman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldeman does in their huge state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldeman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldeman for sales and service. Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Well, welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. Want to again start out excuse me, by thanking our sponsors, Angela Wanafree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Home. So, Chief, we were talking a little bit before how you started your fire service career as a volunteer, right?
Yes.
And I know a lot of people are familiar with or think still to this day, most of the men and women who are in the fire service are volunteers in one way or the other. And I know that's not true here in Hamilton, but it's not a Hamilton issue as there's been a transition from volunteer firefighters to paid career firefighters. So just go over a little bit of kind of that history, right? Not just necessarily here in Hamilton, but what's gone on locally, statewide, nationally, et cetera.
Yeah, it's a very interesting progression that, I can speak specifically for Mercerville. Back in 1910, a bunch of guys met in a peach orchard and decided that they needed fire protection, so they literally built a firehouse with their hands. And then the first, mechanized fire truck, 1928 Rio, came into service, which is still at Mercerville. It's a really cool piece. And then you just go, from the 30s, 40s, it was that the beginning of that civic responsibility, and then 8 other fire. I don't want to upset Gil. I'm sorry. Wrestling Fire Company, Wrestling Hose Fire Department was here first. Yep. But then Mercerville, and then the rest of the populated fire stations popped up. So volunteer when I in '92 as a volunteer, and it was almost like it started weaning off a little bit. Back in the '80s and the '70s, it was just a thing to do, and the guys were falling off fire trucks, not literally, well, maybe, but they were literally hanging off the sides and the backs just to go to fires and perform the function. And then in the 80s, 90s, it started to wean off a little bit, and that's when they started adding more staffing. So most firehouses would put a driver on, and then there was, back in when I got hired, there was 2 of us on, so it was me and then my captain, Charles Thornton, who was just an amazing man. And then we went out and we filled out to 4 around the clock. And then, the volunteers subsidized that for a little bit, but it just has fallen off nationwide as a thing. It's just a really hard, it's a hard profession to keep up. Now, there are some volunteers still left, especially in Mercer County proper, and these guys are doing a tremendous job because it's not just a part-time job, it's like a second full-time job. So whatever they do in not the real life, but whatever they do in their profession, they're also doing a second profession in being firefighting. It's getting very tough to keep up with that, but we have to endorse that. It's a very dynamic field. There's a lot of training and education and a lot of continuing education to keep yourself safe. That's my theory on leadership in the fire services. It's progressive, and it's got to keep progressing. You take it one step farther. Everybody says don't be complacent in leadership or in this industry, but you got to pull that a little farther and say it's not only don't be complacent, you have to be progressive. You have to be expecting what's going to come next, what the industry is going to give us. Fire burns a little higher these days. It burns a little quicker, and it's a lot nastier.
Just with all the stuff, the product chemicals and the products,
the polyethyl everything's. Really hot, and getting there like we do in Hamilton, it's 42 square miles, getting there quickly and getting that initial water on the fire so that we can, protect the victims and get them out. It's just really important. It's a dynamic industry, and then you throw in the technical rescues, the electric vehicles. They're a whole new bear. Alternative fuel vehicles and processes that keep going around. New polymers and all this stuff. All this stuff it's really, you got to be a jack of all trades, and it's been fun and rewarding, but it's exhausting too.
Yeah, and it's tough to do, and we'll get into. We're talking a lot about fires right now, right? And I know you've been mentioning there's plenty of calls that our fire department gets called out on that have nothing to do with a fire.
Yes, I love the term all hazards. I believe one of the big departments is moving to that all hazards concept, and emergency management has already gone there. Basically, we feel that when if somebody gets out there, whether it's a police department or public works, and they start scratching their head, it's usually a fire department's responsibility to figure out how to mitigate it. Again, we do it as a team, but there are the calls for service. There's a lot of good that comes with it. I always used to, that for police officers and firefighters, most of the time when people call 911, it's not a good day. And, we try to instill that among our staff, and they do a tremendous job with is being receptive and, empathetic to that. You're really meeting somebody. If they felt the need to call 911, they're having a pretty bad day. So, hopefully we can mitigate it and make it as least painful as possible.
Yeah. But going back to volunteers, right? So, it happened in Hamilton. It's happening right now in Princeton, right? As they're moving away from 100% volunteer to now kind of a hybrid structure, right?
Yep.
And it's happening all across the nation that way, right? As people have their jobs maybe that are further afield outside of town, so they couldn't get back.
Yes.
Or they're taking kids to dance recitals, little league tournaments, all those kinds of things, right? All of that takes them outside the area and away from potentially volunteering that way too.
Yeah, it's we're known as a really what's the word I'm looking for? An economic insurance policy, a good economic insurance policy, and it's really hard to say where the next fire is going to be. And we try to strategically locate the stations and the units, but honestly, where the next fire is going to be is, if I knew that, I wouldn't be here. I'd be a millionaire. I lost my train of thought, sir.
But just having the preparation, right? Of you can't wait a half hour for somebody to come back from out of town, right? To get to a firehouse, to get into their equipment, and then go to a scene to be able to mitigate that loss, right? Even if it's not a person, but it's a property kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that fire is exponentially doubling very quickly, and also too the double-edged sword, which is an interesting fact, is we get now that we've gotten that initial response down so fast with a career staff department, which is essential and crucial, we actually had to take a second because we realized when we were opening the door, we were feeding the air to the fire, and we were putting our firefighters in danger.
Oh, wow.
So that was something that I saw over the course of the years, that the industry took a step back and said, okay, we're getting there fast enough. We have to let this fire do what it do, because they would open the door and then they'd make the hallway, and then that influx of air, and then the fire would react, and it was very dangerous. So, little things that we teach our guys now is to let the building breathe for a second after they open that door. So just an interesting side to how quickly now we responded. We had to change some of our dynamics and tactics when it comes to that.
Yeah. Speaking of, especially new firefighters, right? So for anybody listening, they themselves or a nephew or a niece or daughter, whatever, they want to be a firefighter, and they want to be a firefighter in Hamilton. What do they do?
Well, we are a civil service department, and I've been very fortunate, both, and I think I've missed them a couple of times, I was in the FMBA as a union firefighter, and I was a shop steward for years, and the FMBA has been incredibly good to me, and so is civil service. It's a fair system. It's a system that's in place. So, we're trying to get it out there. It's every 3 years is an entry-level fire test. You can take that with just a high school diploma. There's no prerequisite other than a high school diploma. And then you get placed on a list, and then we select from that list. We still are getting volunteers on that list. As you know, we just hired one not too long ago.
Yep.
That was had a tremendous volunteer resume.
Yep.
And but we're getting away from that. We're just whereas I did 8 years as a volunteer, and some of these guys did 10, and that. So it's just now we're hiring volunteers with 1 or 2 years experience, and then eventually it's just not going to happen in Hamilton. So it'll also change this industry. We don't have an academy right now for Hamilton Township. We're fortunate that we don't quite need one yet, but we're going to have to look at that. Maybe not you or I, but maybe in 10, 15 years, they're going to have to look at putting the academy on so that they can give them the initial skill set, which is the New Jersey State Firefighter 1 certification, which is required for any firefighter to ride a fire truck in New Jersey.
So either before they take a test or after they take a test, they're going to go to a fire academy.
Absolutely have to, yes.
Yeah.
They can't do any, we call it an IDLH, immediately dangerous to life or health atmosphere. They can't go anywhere near that until they have certification, which I totally agree with. I would be remiss. We still do have volunteers in Hamilton Township. Colonial Volunteer Fire Company has been absolutely outstanding. They provide the special services unit, and man, they're always there when we need them. And I just want to show my appreciation for them. Merciful Fire Company, always close to my heart, but runs the fire police. The fire police program out of that, which is a really nice way we pivoted. We may not have frontline volunteer firefighters on the hose lines, but Richard Klockner took this on from me years ago as the fire police chief, and he started putting, we started pivoting towards that. And that also assists the police department and public works. We have that ability to call them out, and they direct traffic. They are trained to do that function. You also, and I wouldn't, Hamilton Fire Company has been tremendous. Rustling Hose. I can't really Gil. I said Rustling Hose.
He's listening.
Nottingham Volunteer Fire Company. I hope I didn't miss DQ and Groveville. They really have a special place in my heart for what they built here. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And I'm glad if they built that foundation, we could take the next step from. But it's just a transition of the department from a volunteer to a career department.
Yeah, and as you said, there's a number of men and women, right, even later in age, who are still coming out every single fire to just try to chip in, right? Whether it's subbing out the air canisters, right, that your men and women are using, right, as they go into a building, and they've got to breathe that way because otherwise they couldn't breathe with a smoke-filled room, right?
Yes, and that resource being freed up by Colonial is just, it's insurmountable to try to put a price tag on that. What they do for us is greatly appreciated. And Signal 22, more of a Trenton-based volunteer organization, but has always been huge for Hamilton, bringing out refreshments and hydration for the guys. So there still is a great volunteer component, and people doing their civic duty, and I'm very grateful for all those organizations.
And going back just to the Whitehead fire, it struck me, one, how appreciative, right, those businesses that were immediately next door, the residents that were immediately next door, but they even had the holistic view of all those who responded. So many of them wrote checks to the Signal 22, which is a volunteer, separate nonprofit, right?
Yes.
Almost as a pay it forward.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Like, hey, here's some money. Go buy Gatorades, go buy waters, go buy granola bars, so that at the next major fire, wherever and whoever it involves, those people have rehydration
Yes.
and all those kinds of things to keep them going.
The community, and I know you know this now, this community, whenever we need the help or support, they're just there. I've seen some tremendous acts of kindness and love from the community, and it's just such a pleasure to be on top of the fire department that gets to see that interaction. So and same thing with the police department. I know they feel the same thing. It's just a great community. I'm born and raised here, and I'm very proud of Hamilton Township.
And that's why the kids want to dunk you next week, right? Because they want to say, "I dunked the fire chief."
Hope we'll get that water a little cleaner this year. But that was my mistake. But
that was look, on those 90-degree days, it feels nice to get dunked, whatever
absolutely.
the water looks like or whatever. But Chief, we're going to take our last break.
Yes, sir.
And when we come back, we'll finish up talking about a variety of things with Chief Tozzi.
Merrill Reese, here to tell you about my good friends at Haldeman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldeman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldeman does in their huge, state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldeman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldeman for sales and service. Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Hi, this is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I'm proud to help sponsor today's show and promote what's happening in our community. All residents of your hometown should stay involved and participate in community activities, whether it's volunteering to help make your town clean, or volunteering at the animal shelter, or helping at a local youth event. Staying involved in your community makes your hometown a great place to live. This is Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Honorfree, and I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Welcome to the capital of neurosciences at Capitol Health. The human brain and spine are very complex, and treating them requires a hospital that offers a combination of technology and specialists that are united by a single defining purpose, putting you and your family at the center of exceptional care. From brain tumors and spinal disease to strokes and aneurysms, if it involves the brain and spine, there's only one Capitol Institute for Neurosciences, and it's at Capitol Health. To learn more, visit capitalneuro.org. That's capitalneuro.org.
Well, welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. Want to again start out by thanking our sponsors, Angela Wanafree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Homes. So, Chief, when we've been talking previously, we've talked about a number of things the fire department is involved in besides just fires, right?
Yes.
And we started talking about it a little bit. About a year or two ago, there was Ida that came through New Jersey, and to me, this is one of those moments, right, that classifies just the professionalism and the outstanding men and women that you lead and what they're committed to do to help their greater community, right? So talk a little bit about Ida hitting our area here in Mercer County.
We just have the multiple capabilities. Dewatering is one thing we can do as well, but really the Swiftwater Rescue team in Hamilton Township, in my eyes, is one of the premier teams in New Jersey. I'm a little one-sided on that one. So we have the ability. So we're so prepared for something like that when the men and women of the Hamilton Fire Division put themselves in that place. They're just ready to go, and they just perform way exceed expectations every time. I train very hard, and then we also have some help from Trenton as well. Or it's a reciprocal relationship when it comes to those technical rescues.
I've been on one of those joint Swiftwater trainings myself. It is not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that very much. But sorry, Chief.
No, it's we have tremendous assets. Firefighter Pope, Rescue One, has been really instrumental in keeping that team on its toes, and that comes from Rich and Steve Kramer. Those guys really put that team into service, and it is. I inherited a great Swiftwater team. Saved a couple of police officers in Hopewell not too long ago. Tremendous, and I wasn't there, but listening to the stories, it was very technical. A lot of trepidation, a lot of worry about how it's going to go down. I believe that was Battalion Chief Sharpley. I don't know, but really put. There's another excellent leader that put the guys to work, and excellent firefighters and fire officers that carried out just almost an impossible mission, and I'm really, really proud of those guys. So we're prepared for then when you deal with the wires down and tree limbs on top of wires, it's such a harrowing night, and then it goes on forever. And what we ask of these firefighters and police officers and public works in these scenarios, and they just perform over and over again. So like us being at the ability to lead these men and women is just such an honor. I mean, and to watch them work. So really proud of them. We've had the technical rescues. I don't know if you want me to segue into that. Trench rescue, and I was off duty that day. I think I was talking to Rich, the previous chief, and heard it come through, and I just had to go see it because I had training in trench rescue. It's just not a very common thing, and man, again, watching these companies go to work and
talk about what a trench rescue is.
Oh, sorry.
For those who do not know.
Yeah, basically, you're when they're working on this one, I think they were working on a sewer line, but when they cut that narrow, steep trench and they're working in it, there's some safety factors we want them to. Well, OSHA wants them to do, but unfortunately, sometimes those trenches do collapse, and they're technical and they're tough, and that person in that trench needs immediate response, and that's what he got from the Hamilton Fire Division that day with Trenton. Trenton absolutely supported us in that event. I believe that was a Keith Green job, and Battalion Chief Keith Green, and the guys just went to work and did some amazing things, and I was off duty, so it was just I got to watch it and enjoy the professionalism and the skills and abilities of our staff. So that was a successful trench rescue. It all started in, I forget the year, it was prior to consolidation. There was a coal pile rescue at the old PSC&G plant, which is no longer there. And that was Rustling's job back in the day, District 3, and those guys did an amazing job, but came back to the table after that and said we could do this better, and that began the inception of the technical rescue in my eyes in Hamilton Township on where we were going to take it and where we were going to progress it. And today I'm really proud of where we're at, and we're going nowhere but up with that. And
it goes back to the conversation or the statement you made earlier, right? When there's nobody else, when somebody calls 911,
it's us.
It falls back on you all, right? Water rescues, when nobody can get to those Hopewell police officers that are literally hanging onto trees for their dear life, and nobody else can get to them. it fell to you all and Battalion Chief Sharpley right at that moment to lead a group out there, right? Or to the hotel that was on Route 1 in Lawrence, or to the car that was stuck in Cornell Heights on Sweetbriar, right? When there's a trench collapse, they're not calling anybody else. Now, I know there, again, other agencies, right? Our WPC sewer department brought out some apparatus to help with that. You know, so it's a team. It's a greater team effort, right? But they couldn't have done that on their own. The police couldn't have done it on their own. There's nobody else.
It is one of the sobering when you make this career path, whether it's law enforcement, police, military. You know, there's just nobody else that's going to get it done. Ray Pierce, you know, middle of the night, staring at this wall of fire, and he just knew that he had to take his little bites out of his massive emergency and make it work, and he performed.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, very sobering when you realize that this is if nobody else is going to do this, the cavalry's not coming. We've got to get this done, and our fire division and police division and public works division on a routine basis just gets the job done. Very, very impressed with all of them.
Absolutely. Now, you and I just had a conversation the other day with a reporter for an article that's coming out soon, right? And I know the kids are very interested in it, especially they'll be at National Night Out on drones.
Yes.
Right? And again, now another tool to help the men and women you lead in doing their jobs a little easier, a little smarter, maybe then a little harder, right? Talk to our audience a little bit about how the fire department uses drones and what they do.
Yeah, you know, the two factors for drones is the emergent and the non-emergent. Non-emergent, we can do pre-planning, so we can see buildings from a sky-high view, which gives us a really good idea of solar panel locations, roof scuttles, ladders, sometimes even building construction. You know, courtyards that we weren't expecting to be there, that sort of stuff. So, Fire Prevention Bureau, we can work on you know, our game plan if that building does catch on fire. Search and rescue is a really big hot topic, and that is recently used to be a fire department kind of thing, and now I believe the AG's office made it the police department, which I think they're a great lead on this. We'll support them, but you know, putting Duck Island used to be the one in the 90s. We used to get fires and searches in Duck Island, and that's an unforgiving place to take a walk in 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So the ability to put that drone up with the thermal imaging and be able to hopefully quickly cover a large area and find that victim quick, more expedient than making that, you know, that everybody get in the field and walk is just great.
And putting people, your men and women in danger, right?
Yeah. Minimizing their
exposure.
time shielding and distance. We get them in and out so that they don't have to see it. Be exposed. Finding fire, hazardous materials. The thermal imaging camera will give us a great look at if you have a tank that is ruptured. We don't have to get as close to that thing until we know what's in that tank and how it's working, but that rupture itself will actually show a thermal difference, so we'll actually be able to get an idea of where it's leaking from, and we can make that pre-plan before we go in. So again, time distance and shielding, not putting the guys too close to that, while we make our game plan to be very effective and as safe for our employees. I use the term guys. I hope I've talked to my staff before. Guys is an accompanying male, female, everything. They're guys. So I apologize if that don't mean to offend anybody. And then we're talking about mitigation post disaster from the emergency management standpoint is, we just the flood control system that I think was granted in the 70s, working with Public Works, and again, great guys. They had to walk that to see the debris that, it's part of the thing to maintain it. So we put the drone up, and we covered large swaths of area to ensure that it was open, and that it was ability to assume those flood waters and get them safely out. So just so many uses, and I think we said in the article, not to ruin that article for anybody, but there is it's almost like the sky's the limit. Where are these things? Where is this ability going to take us? And there's underwater drones, and dog robots and all that stuff. So where it's going to take us is really interesting. But the police department is really way ahead of the game on that one, and we're glad to be part of that team to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, you think we talked a lot about 70s, 80s, 90s, right, and where fire service was then, right? And now you almost can't even imagine where it will be 30 years from now, kind of thing.
Almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, it as the world evolves, right? You all have to evolve with it
constantly,
right? And you have to think: what are the exposures in Hamilton? What are the potential exposures in Hamilton? and that requires a lot of funding, right? And so just recently we were able to announce a great win for the fire department. The state provided a grant for $1 million, right?
Yes, sir.
For us to get a new ladder truck, in addition to a matching part that comes from the township. But talk a little bit about why a new fire truck. A ladder truck, as I call it, so I can actually visualize it a little easier, right, is important now to the fire service moving forward.
Yeah, with 8,600 calls, I'd be remiss not to say it's getting busier. We're getting more work on a daily basis, and the guys are performing above and beyond. Apparatus right now, because of the post-pandemic and supply chain issues, we're looking at a 4-year turnaround time.
Wow.
So if we weren't expected that's a new challenge for fire chiefs, is we have to get ahead of before the curve and be ordering these apparatus 3 years prior to when we ordered them last time. We used to get them in a year.
Wow. That's crazy. A year to 4 years.
A year to 4 years, and sometimes it was 8 months. But I really, and I hope I'm not misspeaking here, is I feel that the state is rewarding us for a proper consolidation. Obviously, from my perspective, I shouldn't say obviously, my perspective, the very most successful consolidation of a fire districts into a municipality. Again, kudos to the mayor, your administration, as well as the FMBA, the local, the effort they put in to make that happen. So ordering these apparatus has become a total change in the way I've did it for 8 years as a chief at Mercerville. Now we have to, and working with John Retalis, who was a chief at Fire District 7, we just have to change our theory on when we have to order these trucks and where we get them. And we do, we run 8 companies on a regular basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We run 8 companies, 8,600 calls. So we're putting a lot of wear and tear on the apparatus. So we're looking at that. And the apparatus is changing. We just graphite engines and all this new technology. So what I did was put a production committee together. So we actually have the battalion chief leading a committee of captains and firefighters, because it's silly for me to sit at the top of the heap in a fire truck that I haven't ridden in 12 years and say, you guys should get this one. I let those guys choose, and they really are. They're up for the task, and they're doing amazing work. And they're designing this current truck with looking at manufacturers, and then they'll put it out. But really, with that 4-year lead time and the wear and tear upon the apparatus, it's just going to be, we're going to be ordering them a little quicker nowadays. So, and that $1 million, I can't thank the governor and
our state legislators.
Sorry, Benson and Greenstein. Thank you so much for considering us for that. So it's great to be able to spend a little less money on that ladder truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're about $2 million, so it's they're not inexpensive pieces of equipment.
Yeah, but when your house is on fire, your business is on fire, right, and you need to get that overhead of water down, right? It's critically
invaluable piece of equipment. Those two, we run 2 ladder trucks in Hamilton Township. Again, a dynamite staffing on both of those trucks, and aggressive, professional. Very proud of those firefighters.
And if you ever see anybody standing on the back of a ladder truck, I had this a month ago, they're training. So don't freak out like I did, right? They're harnessed in, right?
Yes.
Everything's safe and by the book. But it's just, again, going back to training the next generation now of men and women to be able to drive those apparatuses. So, Chief, we're at the end of our time here.
Oh, great.
I, again, want to thank you. I want to thank you for the work you've done over your 20-plus years, but especially the year you and I have really gotten to work together well. I know now you're more of an administrator, right? But between that $1 million, the fire consolidation grant, other grants you've gotten, right, and putting this department in a good position moving forward, really just want to thank you for your service to the men and women that you lead, but to the greater extent to our residents and businesses in the town, and keeping them safe each and every day. And now, as they're listening to this, know that they're in good hands here in Hamilton.
It's an absolute honor. I got Brandon Correa. He's great, too. I just made sure I mention his name. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anybody listening, we want to make sure they get shout out. So thank you all for joining us again for This Month in Hamilton, our July 2023 edition. I want to thank again WBCB 1490 AM for allowing us each and every month to bring you this radio show and tell you what's going on this month in Hamilton. And again, thank our sponsors: Angelo Onifree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Home. And with that, we will see you in August. I believe our guest in August is Dr. Rocco, talk to you about the upcoming school year.